Americans. Oh. I'm the MSc representative for the Native Americans, undocumented, and refugee students. MSc is the Multicultural Student Council, housed under the ODMA. I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight, or today, for the last event of the Muslim Heritage Month, of the first Muslim Heritage Month. So, I don't have the agenda on the screen, but let me just introduce it to y'all. So we're going to have the presentation about halal food, by Dr. Baywar. Then we'll open it up to the audience for a Q&A. Then at the end, we'll have a Kahoot game. Then, of course, the raffle and the food. I'd like to welcome Dr. Baywar to the stage to present about the halal food.
This is too high for me. I'm too short. Come on, Felipe. I know you're tall. you did that on purpose, didn't you? Well, good afternoon. Is that good? Okay. Welcome to last event, as Felipe said, for the Muslim Heritage Month. And today I want to talk about halal food. Anybody here know about halal food? Raise your hand, please. Okay, so that means really good. Not a lot of people raising hands, so it's going to be educational. I'm not going to talk in details, so please don't ask me too technical questions because I'm not a scholar about halal food. So, but I'm just going to give you basic information, what's halal food, and what's the significance behind it, why Muslims prefer halal food. Okay? Let's move on. Okay. And I don't have I didn't ask for that one. Let's see if I could figure this out, and I don't see any of my tech guys here. I'm not able to move. What is it? Okay, is that good now? Okay. Oh, woohoo! You got it there. Okay, what's halal mean? It's an Arabic term, which is mean permissible or lawful. It could be used in many different ways, but in this context, it's for Muslim. We're talking about food, which is the way is being prepared. I would say similar to kosher. Anybody know about kosher food? Yeah, so it's a similar. Okay. So it's a dietary restrictions or dietary guidance for Muslims to follow. The importance of halal food is the aspect of for the Islam. It's part of it, and for the faith and the lifestyle as well. So for me, as a person, a Muslim who been raised as a Muslim, when I first moved to the United States, it was really hard for me to taste non-halal food. And I got used to it for a few years later. But now I'm getting used to it because it's offered throughout the valley. I always go to a place where halal food is served because the taste is different, and the lifestyle. That's why another thing I tell a lot of my friends, I do recommend you to try it and see for the taste and see if you feel like any differences. So, and the other thing it's a reflects on the concept of obedience by Muslims. So if there's a way for you to avoid, and you have options for halal food and non-halal food, it's recommended to eat halal food. So, in the practices, usually offers purity and on the cleanness, the way the food is being prepared. Because if you go to in more detail, and in Islam and in Muslim beliefs, when you do not prepare or any kind of, let's say you trying to prepare a chicken or a cow or a sheep, if you do not use a proper vein on the neck, the blood stays in the body, which is, it's in Islam, it's forbidden to have blood. So that means blood is still remained in the body of the animal. It's not allowed to eat. So something, it's really important for so meats, only a certain animals are allowed. Seafood is really, you can eat. There's no way you could say, I've seen some people say, hey, this bread is halal. There's no such a thing. So bread, it's bread. It's only about animals, and it's the way it's prepared. So seafood, it's for, it's permissible in any way you could eat. So and then plant-based as well too. So there's no such a thing like that. And pork, actually, it's one of the meat is not allowed. It's haram, which is it means, it's another term in Arabic word that means not permitted. It's not allowed. So the product is strictly when it comes to pork. Be aware of your Muslim friends, and don't ever actually invite or say, hey, I have this lunch for you, and then it's pork in it, because it happened to me. And out of the naive way, that person is a very good friend of mine and brought me a lunch with a pork chop. So he didn't know I don't eat pork. So I hope that does not happen to you. So that's something happened to me. And then the other thing is including intoxicant, alcohol and things like that are not permissible. And actually alcohol is, I think Dr. Salman talked about how, did he talk about, I don't remember, but alcohol it's really no. It's a top of the list. It's something, if you serving it, there's no difference between serving it and drinking it. So that's why you see a lot of Muslims who believe and strictly, follow the Islam and Muslim Sharia. They do not go to work in a bar or the place where alcohol served, and they don't want to serve. They don't want to touch it. So be aware of that. Alcohol is very restricted. So animals not slaughtered properly. It's not dedicated for idols, or also it's haram as well. So that's something you want to mention and know about it. So I don't see certificate. Okay. Again, I can't even see it very well. Sorry. The product and some type of food, which is, like I said, if an animal, you go to hunting, right? That animal you hunted and it's dead before you slaughter, it's haram to eat it. It's not allowed for Muslims to eat it, even in a certain time. But it has to be in a proper and ready way to slaughter that animal in order to, in a good health, let's say, not dead. And you say you cannot have a dead cow or dead sheep or dead chicken, so it's not allowed. So, and the certain places are actually, in the Muslim world, you shouldn't have that problem, but there are places in the United States that's certified to serve halal food and certified to prepare halal food. So it's provided by many different companies And I know in Chicago, because there's a huge Arab Muslim community there, and there are a lot of companies who are serving halal chicken, halal meat, and sending it to Utah. And in my knowledge, there's no any companies in Utah serving, but if you go to Costco on the 1700, they do halal food. If you go to Restaurant Depot, anybody know Restaurant Depots? It's strictly for business people. So if you have a business, so they do halal food as well too. They serve halal meat, chicken, and dietary other things too. The economic part of it, I really don't want to talk that much about it. It's really becoming a trend in Utah. Like I said before, I did not have any choice. I had to, eat whatever is available. But right now, even my family, my son, 13 years old, and we always try to eat halal food, and we prefer it. And often we go out, there's no halal food, but we go with it and we got used to it. But the taste is different. And I will give you one example for the blood. Try to boil beef, just a regular beef. And then try boil halal one and try to boil non-halal one. The non-halal one, you see the blood house coming out from the beef. This is based on our own personal experience. But if you boil halal food and halal meat, you will not see any blood. It does not cause any kind of, that blood coming up to the, which causes a huge mess in a certain time. So, but this is one thing you can tell when you boil the halal food and versus non-halal meat. So, the sale has been increasing throughout based on the research. It's not even if you go to some places in Europe. Actually, it's been very well known, and people prefer it, and they do provide halal food. So there are some misleading, and sometimes people put the sticker that says halal, and be aware of that too. So and I have seen it, and actually make sure the seal is it's not only regular. It's I would say certified company, because company is providing halal food. They should have a proper way preparing it and proper way packing it too. And packaged, it will tell you that too. So this is actually had nothing to do with what I want to say, okay? So even for the tourism, when you go to different places, you could ask for halal food as well too. Usually restaurants, they have a sign, they say we serve halal food, and look for that sign as well too. If you, just like I said, I think Asma's dad owns the restaurant, and your restaurant only serve halal food, right? Yeah. So, and the food is provided today by Beirut, and as well, it's all halal food. I don't know if you tell the difference when you eat the chicken or beef. I can tell the difference, and try that, and probably try somewhere random place that chicken kebab or beef kebab and tell the difference. Just taste yourself and see if you can tell the difference. I want you to do that.
So I also want to add something. I've always been halal my whole life. I grew up in Pakistan where we're always served everything is halal there. So when I came here, I never really tried meat outside, but I did try once. Now I will say that it did make me feel like growing up. So I can definitely say there's a difference. I don't know why that happens. I never tried outside a lot, like different meat rather than halal. So I'll do like either vegetarian or seafood. I love
So the demand is rising definitely because of migration, and as I mentioned, in 1993 when I came to Utah, and even until 2000, actually, we did not have any places to serve that kind of halal food. But now, you could go to any Middle Eastern restaurant and Muslim, they all serve halal food. So I invite you to try it. So restaurant and really catering because they see the demand out there. So and even non-Muslim, they appreciate it because the way it's prepared for cleanness and things like that, it's really it's different. It's the way it's prepared, it's different. So for me, it was weird to people tell me, okay, you butchering this cow, first you have to kill it with a bullet and then start serving it. So that's totally not allowed in our Muslim world. So it's something not practiced at all. So that's all I have. I know Dr. Masood is here and I am here, and we have many Muslim students here. If you have a question, if I cannot answer it, I will be more than happy to invite Dr. Masood to say something. But do you have any questions about halal food? Any of you? No?
So when you say like the animal has to be killed at a certain time, or what happened? Does he have to like capture the animal alive?
Well, if Dr. Salman, so he's asking about when somebody's hunting. So what I was saying is, even if you hunt, you cannot eat a dead body of the, Did I hear something? Sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Come over, please. You guys all remember Dr. Salman, right? Okay.
So when it comes to hunting, is it like you can only, like the animal can only be dead for a certain time, or like you'll have to capture it alive?
Yeah. So, for there are actually four things not allowed in the Quran. Number one, flowing blood. So there's there's a tribe of Maasai in Africa. They puncture the jugular and they drink the blood of a living animal. So any blood which is flowing, that is not permissible. Any animal which is dead.
Yeah.
And the meat of a pig in any form, and so, or any animal on which a name other than God is taken. So a lot of scholars will allow like the slaughter done by Jews and Christians. It's called people of the book. So as long as no other deity's name is taken, that meat is permissible. So now coming to your specific question, if when you are, first of all, you're hunting, you only hunt something you're going to eat. So trophy hunting in Islam is not permissible because you cannot hurt an animal for no reason. So God doesn't allow us other than if we are to consume that meat. So if, let's say, you're shooting a deer, whether you use a bow and arrow or you use a gun, you make that intention that I'm going to eat. And then if you're even using hunting dogs, as long as the animal is not dead by the time you arrive, you can slaughter it. Slaughter in a traditional manner.
So it has to be alive. That's what and you have to slaughter.
Yeah.
That answers the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
And slaughter has to be done very fast with a sharp knife, preferably with one swipe, no strangulation, none which causes pain to the animal. Even if you're doing a slaughtering, the other animals who are waiting to be slaughtered cannot see that animal. They cannot feel that another animal is being hurt, or that has to be done behind a wall or with a separation in place so that animal is not stressed. The other animals are not stressed by that.
Thank you. Thank you. We are, Dr. Masood here, we have a lot of people. Oh, do you have a question? Sorry.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So if you eat something that is not permissible, either intentionally or not intentionally, do you have to do something to like be
Repent?
cleansed
No.
of that, or?
Yeah, there's no penance. Let's say you are on a shipwrecked on a boat and there's no food or water, and the only thing available on the boat is pork and alcohol. You are allowed to eat pork and alcohol in that situation to save your life. So it is permissible in that section. So think about it. One thing: God has not created anything without reason. Okay? The only reason we are not allowed to eat pork is because of the social reasons. Because the food passes through the alimentary canal in less than 4 hours in pig. So if they have germs or bacteria or worms, they tend to find room in their muscle. That is one thing. The other aspect is a social aspect, raising pig in a farm, because of all the species, pig is an animal which is not jealous of its female. This is very unique trait. But yet, the animal itself is created for a purpose. I give you an example of a scholar, and if you have a couple of minutes.
No? Yeah.
So he was living in the madrasa or the Islamic school, right? He's a Muslim scholar. So he's coming at night time, and he sees a little piglet which is separated from the mother. So he wraps in his cloak, brings it to a room. His housing is adjoining to the mosque, and he gives warm milk. And then in the morning, he takes it back to the field and releases that piglet, thinking that the mother will find it. So people got wind of it, and of course, he was brought to the panel of jurists, Muslim, and they were accusing him that, you brought in a pig in the mosque? I mean, how could you do that? You're a Muslim scholar. And his answer was very beautiful. He said, who created this pig? And he says, God. Okay. Who gives the nourishment to the pig every day? God. He says, just last night, I took care of that nourishment. Only one time. Otherwise, it was God's creation, and God provides nourishment to this animal. So the hatred is not because of some sort of decree which is not understandable, right? It is God's creation, and it has a purpose. We are only told it's not safe to eat because it can harbor, if there is a wound on the animal, it doesn't heal very well either. This is why we use that in medical science for experimentation, because pig has low immunity, right? So it's for health. Like if you drive a car and it says 91 octane, you just use that fuel, right? You won't use diesel. You won't use 85 octane. So we go by the manufacturer's recommendations. So we feel God has created us, so He gave us recommendation what to eat, what not to eat. So it's not a political issue. It's a basically how you accept a recommendation from your Creator. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes, do you have a question? We can't hear you probably.
Hi. Assalamu alaikum. I basically wanted to just point out that I've lived in Utah my whole life, and as a Muslim, it was, as you've stated, very difficult to find halal foods, and some of those halal foods are also very deceptive. So I'm going to risk being a little liberal here and suggest that that people, like, if you have a problem with that, then maybe just accept becoming a vegetarian with exceptions of seafood and things like that, as that's what I've decided to do. It's not easy. I'm not going to be that way, but it's just something that I'd recommend fellow Muslims get into. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. So my sister-in-law decide to do that, and she's a vegetarian as a result of that. So that's a great suggestion. But nowadays, it's really, we have a lot of halal food places. So I don't think, unless you travel outside and, for instance, last weekend we went to Bear Lake. There's no any place to serve halal food in Bear Lake. So we eat whatever was available. So. So I think if you don't have any more questions, do you have anything to add, Dr. Salman? No? Okay. So we're going to have Kahoot, and we're going to play Kahoot. Whoever wins, questions are based on what we offered for the last 3-4 sessions, and it's about Islam, basic questions. It shouldn't be hard questions. So if you win, you're going to win something, so play. And but the magic, probably we need actually the technical support here, because there's no, I can't change this, Marcel. Is there any way can help us? Because Mike and Laith left to change that to the Kahoot website, and then everybody can play. So it's all yours.